Well, I think I'm live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Do our general maintenance and hope that things are working. Sure hope they are. See if I can type anything in the chat and actually pull up. I'm also fighting my computer right now. Well, it's old. But old does not mean bad. It just means that I need to do more work. So, yeah. Did it load? Yes. Thank heavens. It's actually loaded. Okay. Well, a few people I was hoping was going to be able to make it, but they may join later. I don't know. They have lives, and I don't. So, as you can tell by the fact that I actually watched the show. I guess the big thing is going over the. Going over this show is is kind of hard. There are many people that are very skilled at wordsmiths that are going to be able to either praise or tear apart the show. I'm kind of in the category of this one doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings to me at all. It's like they took names and a few different symbols for bits of symbolism from Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion and stuff, and crammed it into a generic fantasy show, basically, that honestly it does not feel like they spent as much as they did for the quality of what we got. I mean, it really doesn't. You spent close to $1 billion on this series, and this is what we get for it. You made some characters that are actual from the book characters. You made some of them so insufferable that can't stand the thought of pushing on, but you do anyways. And then your new characters, I have mixed feelings on certain things. The Harfoots, as they put it, they're hobbits. They're bloody hobbits. And those, I don't really have anything against them, but I have nothing for them. I fail to see their purpose other than hoping to get nostalgia bait, but it really doesn't work. I mean, you get these two hobbits that that are trying to focus. Out of each group, they focus on. They're focusing on certain things. Like it's different parts in different locations. So you got the hobbits are kind of their own thing. You have stuff with Galadriel is kind of focused on her, which she definitely is more the key of the show, key focus of the show. But oh my lord. Before we go any further, this is not taking away, this is not going after the actors and actresses of this show. Please do not take it as that. They are they're portraying the roles as they were given to them, as they accepted them, doing the script as it was handed to them, and following the directions of the directors on how to perform these roles. But good lord, this is nothing against Morfydd Clark, but good lord, that was the worst. They took one of my favorite characters, Galadriel, and they made her the most insufferable person on the face of the planet. The sheer arrogance of this person. And I don't know many people they'll point that out. They'll talk about, well, she's on this revenge quest that didn't happen in the book. I can even get past that. I really probably could if it wasn't for the fact that she is just terrible person. They wrote her as a terrible person, and there is no way they've done so much damage in 2 episodes to how her character is portrayed in this. There is no way you go from this Galadriel, no matter how long you take, how many seasons you throw at it, that could just, there's nothing you can do to it to justify a change from that into Galadriel portrayed by Kate Blanchett, which, mother of God, that Kate Blanchett nailed that role. The woman has such presence on screen. She has such a commanding presence on screen that she took over every time she was on there. It wasn't just the camera work, it was her line delivery, the way she walked, even down to just subtle hand gestures. You had this ominous feel to her. They built up a little tension when they were going into Lothlorien, but that did not. But this Galadriel from this Amazon series, there's none of that. There really is. There's nothing imposing about her. The fight choreography is laughable at best in the first episode. I'm sure, hopefully, they'll make it better. They wanted to make it as flashy as possible, and I can understand flashy, but dear Lord, this was terrible. Her line delivery. Now, one of my chief complaints of this show so far is nothing. No conversation feels natural. The closest to a natural conversation you had, as the way it felt whenever the lines are being delivered, is in the second episode, and it involves the dwarves. The dwarves are probably the only saving grace for this series. I'm fine with, yeah, it changes a lot of things and raises a lot of questions, but I'm fine with Disa. She's, I can, that's, yeah, Laura doesn't really go there, but her performance of what they were given was actually, all right, that's fine. I don't mind her. There are things I don't like about the character. That's true. The actress is fine for the role. Her comments outside of it, I'm going to leave alone. Those, I'm strictly going to stick to each actor and actress's performances in the show, and I'm going to do everything I can to avoid their outside comments from the show. I'm going to separate their performances from what they have put out in the public. And most of it looks like just general press releases that they're reading off like they were scripted. But getting back to line delivery and stuff of these characters, the actors, I have seen more comfortable delivery, even in stressful times. I've seen more comfortable delivery of lines or words and sentences, just conversations, going to the DMV. Or if you're willing to go for an acting performance, try this one for size. The performance of pretending that they care at when we are dealing with the bureaucrats at Social Security. Okay, those people don't care. Those people treat everything you do as though you're taking food out of their kids' mouths. That's the best way to look at them. No matter what you do, even if you're just calling to replace your Social Security card, they act like you are taking food out of their kids' mouths. They are, although they'll pretend, oh, I want to be so helpful, I'm nice and kind and caring. No, these are bloodthirsty, ruthless people. I've had my share of dealings with them. And they put on a better performance of showing that they actually care about something. than these actors are putting out there. The enunciations of words. I'm terrible at enunciation, so I don't really have much room to talk on it. But the forced accents, they aren't natural. It's like they didn't practice any. It's like they didn't go through anything to try to make themselves more comfortable with it, if that makes sense. It's like if you're wanting to, oh, here's a good example. Take a look at, say, Hugh Laurie or Liam Neeson whenever they're talking and everything. And they're trying to suppress their accent to have more of an American accent, and depending on the location in America they're supposed to be. And they will go through and they will practice repeatedly. I'm sure they do this because I've seen others that would do it. They go through and talk in the accent that they're supposed to be portraying for long periods of time, even outside of doing the roles, even outside of rehearsals and stuff, just trying to make it more natural in the conversations so it doesn't look so forced. These, it's like they just handed it to them and said, here, force this accent and go on your merry way. Don't, just belt out the lines without any care to it. I'm not going to say you don't have competent actors in it. There are competent actors in there, but the way that their characters, particularly the new characters, are written, for the most part, most of them you don't care about, because they don't really give you a reason to. I mean, it's so dull. To give you an overview of the first episode without spoiling anything, I think I'd rather watch Dunkirk all over again. And I have stated since I saw that movie that is the most dull thing I've ever watched in my life. And I watched C-SPAN. And this actually, the first episode, topped it. The dialogue, the action, all right, you get a little action at the beginning and some conversations that you fear there's supposed to be some tension and stuff like that, but you don't really feel any tension from it. You don't get anything. You're just bored. You're bored stiff. Others have had different things, different perspectives. I'm not some big lore person with Tolkien or anything else. Yeah, I know the lore of some things, but Tolkien's not one that I'm high up there on or anything. I enjoy the books. I've had to stop reading because of my eyes, so I switched over to audiobooks. There are many others on here that are far better and at going over lore, and just listening to them over the years, going over individual characters and stuff. Just go over that and try to and look at some of their past videos on that. Not saying go after them or anything. Actually, subscribe to quite a few of them. They're good at going over the lore. They're really well delivered in their presentations. But some of them went from heavy onto reading into the lore to now with this. Look, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings deviated a whole lot from the books. I mean, you could have made 6 movies alone at the same length as all 3 extended versions, and just in the Council of Elrond. Okay? But that's not the point. The point is, yes, it's an adaptation. You're going to trim things you don't need, or that you need, but you find them less crucial for putting it in a cinematic way. Because it is difficult to translate things, and I understand that. That's probably the main reason Tolkien hated the idea of any adaptation. And but the way they've done these characters, the way they've changed them so much. I mean, you got some characters are completely missing that did exist. They can't even give the excuse like with with Celeborn that, oh well, they couldn't give an excuse that he wasn't in the, we didn't have him here, we only got the rights to the appendices. Uh-huh. Yeah, he was there. Can't give that excuse. They just killed him off. Well, they didn't kill him off. He just isn't there. He's gone. Poof, disappeared. You got one of Galadriel's brothers out of the three. You got, and I know they're trimming out things. And like I said, I understand adaptation and stuff like that, but this is a bad adaptation. It's like even the costume work is pretty bad. There are some scenes where I understand at a distance you are going to use the less intricate and less detailed stuff. You're going for farther away shots. That makes sense. You can't afford to do it all the time, especially with large groups of people. But whenever they have the more up close shots, the detail that they're using is just not there. I've seen better costume budgets and work on shows on fantasy shows, on sci-fi and fantasy movies. When they do their D&D movies, they have more detail. The writing, there's more care in line delivery on there than there is in this. I don't feel anything that there's not outside of names. Well, I don't really see anything that has anything to do with Tolkien's work. And if you're going to say it's a generic fantasy show, I can't even say it's a good one. It's written worse than a CW show. The CG, you might as well hand that to Sci-Fi as well. They could do the same quality of work for a lot less money. They've proven that over the years. But the writing, oh dear God. Of course, what do you expect? The showrunners have, to their credit, they have a partial credit in the worst of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. The third one, Star Trek Beyond. That thing was the writing of that was, somehow this has better writing than that, but that was at least not as boring. Oh, it was god awful. Ooh, that was a terrible movie, and in many ways worse than the show could ever imagine being. But at least you had some better pacing. That's another thing. Pacing in this movie in this show is all over the damn map. It's almost unbearable at times on how slow it's going, and other times it's going faster for no apparent reason. I can't figure anything out with it. It doesn't make any sense. This is just. I have to ask the question. After watching both episodes, I'm sitting there wondering, what the hell did I just watch? It wasn't Lord of the Rings. It wasn't even a good fantasy show. It was just boring. In the first episode, and the second episode was less boring, but that's like saying one turd's less brown than the other. Or it's still a turd. I don't. The actors and actresses, please, they don't deserve any crap for their performances, really. Even as bad as Morfydd Clark's performances of Galadriel are, this is squarely on the directors and writers as to how the character is done. The directors are there, they go along in coordination with writers to get the actors to portray certain things certain ways. That's the way it's always been. And they just do a terrible job at it in this. I mean, I desperately wanted to enjoy this. For the love of God, I wanted this to be far better than that House of the Dragon series, because, quite frankly, Martin is just a dirtbag that's been grifting people for years. by not finishing his book, but selling all sorts of other things, and then bragging about it online, and then trying to claim that he's better than Tolkien. Well, at least Tolkien can finish his books. But this series, I pray it gets better. Please, for the love of God, get better. Please, I need something good to watch, because at this point I'm desperately waiting for Cobra Kai to come out and save that to watch once a week for the next 6 weeks, so that I can have a palate cleanser if it doesn't go well. But I'm willing to give the show further. I will say that I'm willing to give a little bit more time. Hopefully it gets better. I have my doubts. Good Lord. I still can't get over what the hell did I watch. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody out there, or if there's even anybody out there to comment on that. I honestly do not know what the hell I watched. I was less confused whenever I watched Wheel of Time. I've never read the books. I avoided any reviews and spoilers for the Wheel of Time. At least I enjoyed the ride, even though I didn't know what the hell was going on. This, so far, I can't even say I'm enjoying the ride yet. I hope it gets better. It's just, I'm not expecting all action and everything, but better dialogue would be nice. Less predictable dialogue would also be nice. And I don't mean, I don't mean saying, well, yeah, they're adapting from the appendices. No, I'm saying that the way they're writing things that are changed, and how their new characters are performing, it really is just terrible on how they're fleshing out their characters. They have it's no spoiler or anything like this. You see it in the trailers. The whole Ismael Cruz Cordova's elf with the one lady. You see some sort of relationship there in the trailers. Okay, that's fine, but you're really not fleshing that out any. You're not. They've done such a poor job in fleshing it out that you don't care that they're in a relationship or anything, because you don't notice that they're in one. It's that poorly done. And if they are in one, they like to bash you over the head with it a few times with some of the dialogue, but yeah, go ahead and bash over the head. It didn't improve anything. All it did was just say, I care less. If anybody's out there in chat that watched this, please let me know. Did you have the same way of thinking about it? This is just... I expected things to go downhill. I expected things to be bad. I wanted things to be good. I hoped for it to be good. Even going into this, hearing all sorts of things outside of it, I avoided spoilers and stuff, just so I could watch this with a clean mind, and all I got for it was a headache. It's just... I don't know what to... I want to enjoy this show, and I'm sure many do. I'm trying to avoid any spoilers in this, because a friend of mine is going to binge this, which I'm of questionable conscience of if I can even suggest that he binge this whenever it's done, because that's how he watches things. He doesn't watch the weekly. He doesn't do that. He waits till it's all out, and then he binges it, which in some ways I could say, if you're going to watch it, I recommend that, because quite frankly, it hurts Amazon more to do it that way, because they deserve a little bit of a nosebleed for this one. And I know, old man, I'm saddened by it. I'm honestly depressed by it. It looks... it's worse than the trailers for it were. How we were talking about it looks like a generic fantasy in the trailers. It's worse because it's a poorly written generic fantasy, old man. It is. I'm glad you're here and hello, but this is all right. Fuck it. I'm not getting monetized anyway. Sorry, stream, but I'm mature rated anyways. Let's put it this way. It's not spoiling anything. The way they've made Galadriel in there, she is a completely insufferable, incompetent bitch that delivers her lines with the same passion and enthusiasm as somebody trying to speak while constipated and trying to push out a turd. Okay, that's her line delivery. It's that forced. With the same grunting. It's like if she said, I want fried eggs and bacon for breakfast, it would be, I want fried eggs and bacon for breakfast. Okay? That is with some biscuits and gravy. That is how she delivers the lines. It is just painful. It honestly looks like it hurts Morfydd Clark to deliver this. And then don't get me started on Elrond. Oh, God. Of all the offenders that have gone through and taken this and decided, I'm trying to be nice on this. Oh, dear God. His line delivery. Okay, the accent that he's trying to force. Oh, dear Lord. No, there's no chance in hell that the Galadriel in this series turns into Galadriel in the books even. Okay? It's bad enough that the timeline's all shot. I can get past it. It's an adaptation. But oh my dear Lord, they absolutely cornholed this character. Okay? They cornholed her. This is it's just painful. There is no way, no amount of time you could give this character in this series to change her from what she is now and the personality she has now to the personality that Kate Blanchett's Galadriel had. Okay? There is not a chance in hell of doing that. You don't have enough time to do it. You could do this for 30 seasons and couldn't do it because they've made it so irredeemably bad. I honestly think they wrote her so you would hate her. It's just, God in heaven. Did I find enjoyable moments in this show? Yes. Surprisingly enough, yes, I found a few enjoyable things in the show, but it all involved the dwarves. The whole scene, you remember the screenshot I love that showed the hill with the guy on the hill that was showing the two trees in the back that were the light of the earth, that were the light of the world, light of Arda. Okay, that's briefly there. No real explanation or anything. Just poof, here we go. Poof, gone. Her obsessive motivation, and here's one. Kate Blanchett had the ability to portray it in a way that portray Galadriel in a way that she seemed kind of caring and somewhat like a kind of like a motherly figure whenever you looked at her interacting with Frodo whenever she was interacting with Elijah Wood. Okay? And the thing about a mother is, I don't care how old you get, your mother can still scare the shit out of you. They're always going to have that ability to intimidate you. There is nothing intimidating at all about this Galadriel. The fight scene that you see that you get in the first episode, which they basically spoil most of the fight in the trailers, is well, how do I put it? I think I have seen better fight scenes done in Bollywood movies. Okay, the wire work for the flips and stuff is just so laughably stupid. Does that mean that I'm going to give up on the show? No. I started this. I'm going to finish it. And so far, everything I've really mentioned has been in the trailers, because other than the portrayals and performances, the new characters, the I don't mind Deidre. I mean, yeah, it's a dwarf without a beard, but who cares at this point on that? She's not bad for the way they have her portrayed, and it makes sense. They explain how she came to be where she's at, as far as with who she's with. But most of the characters, the Harfoots, no purpose. I don't see a purpose in them at all. Okay, I really don't. The, I'm sure there is maybe later on. I mean, other than nostalgia bait and having a discount Sam and Frodo, that's basically it. Um, because that's how they act. It's like you ordered Sam and Frodo off of Wish.com. Nothing against the actresses playing them. It's just the way they're written. Um, the and none of these actors, please, for the love of God, none of these actors deserve actors and actresses deserve any crap for the roles they're portraying. Okay, that's sure they accepted the roles, but that's not on them. They're acting the way that they are directed to act. Please, for the love of God, make this show better. Please let the next episode be somewhat better. It's like everybody knows that the Balrog, which we saw in the trailers, that is nothing more than nostalgia bait. I honestly can't tell you whether or not I'm gonna recommend you to binge this old man. I want. I'm not going to recommend one way or another for you, or I can't really do that for anybody else because everybody has their own taste. But if I had to have known the first two episodes were going to be like they were before I watched them, because I avoided spoilers. I avoided everything I could. If I had to have known that, I would never have turned it on. Um, because I thought at least I could treat it as a generic fantasy with just names and descriptions of places and some things from Lord of the Rings, but just a generic fantasy movie. Treat it like a Bollywood knockoff film. I guess that's the best way to treat the show, because it's sure as hell not Lord of the Rings. It's sure as hell not Silmarillion. It's sure as hell nothing Tolkien in it. Yeah. Orion, I kind of agree with you on that. That was just. It was so damn boring. It was. I was watching this, and I'm honestly thinking in the back of my head, I would rather watch. I'd rather watch Dunkirk all over again. You know, and that was probably the most boring movie ever made. Period. It is just boring. But um, old man, um, if you want to watch it, I'm not going to say don't watch it. I'm just going to say, from my perspective, if I had to have known, I wouldn't. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I don't know. Probably not, but I hope you do. I hope somebody gets some enjoyment out of this. I really hope somebody gets something out of this. But I it's depressing. You have God. I don't know how to really adequately describe how depressingly dull the first episode was, and the second episode not quite as dull, but the acting still is nowhere near as it's just not there. And you can see where this is going. That's the worst part. No, no spoilers needed. You can see it. If you've watched anything else in the past 5 years, you should be able to see the direction of what they're going to do with the show. And that it's disgusting. I mean, like I said, I hope it gets better. I don't. I'm not going to count it out yet. I've watched shows. I've watched many shows that the first few episodes were god awful. But and that snow except I don't know whatever the name take. Yeah, yeah, that was my big. All right, I'm going to put this out there. It's real simple. My biggest issue with that whole thing, that whole fight that they had for that, is the choreography and wire work is terrible. Okay, it is amongst the worst that I've seen in a while. Oh, I'm going to twirl my little metal stick around. Yay! Look at me, how cool I am. I'm twirling the sword around. Yeah. Hooray for you. No care at all about the people around you that just had a bad day. We'll put it that way. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but oh, it, here's one. At one scene, all right. Close your ears, old man. This is a spoiler, yet not a spoiler. At one scene in the snow troll fight, you see an elf draw the bow. You see him knock an arrow and draw it. If you watch it, you see that the arrow is resting on the back of his hand. It's it you see it dangling, resting on the back of his hand when he draws. It's just how do you miss that? Really, it's not much of a spoiler. It really isn't a spoiler, but you'll notice it all, man, and you're gonna laugh at it too. I had to laugh at a few bits of it just because it was just bad. Um, it's like one of them, you see him in the background. Now this is a different scene. It's not spoiling anything because it's actually in the trailers. I think it's in like the second trailer. You see them standing there. You see all the characters standing there with the different swords, and you see one of them accidentally drop it in the background. You see it hit the floor, and they grab it real quick, and because they're supposed to be holding it in front of them and up a little bit, and it slips and hits the floor. So you see them drop down and grab it in the trailer. Well, this you actually see that but you have to watch pretty close to spot that one. But the arrow, God, this has just been I'm going to make it through this, even if it means I have to go back through, rewatch this horrible stuff, because in some ways it's horrible. Like I said, there are moments that I can find some glimpse of what possibility the show had in it. The show had a chance. It had potential. But they squandered it. Why? I guess Jeff Bezos hates money, because if he's paying for this to be Amazon's own version of Game of Thrones, he just threw away $1 billion. Excuse me, sir, a sec. I gotta get a drink of coffee. I'm going over this. God, I wish I could show the scenes on here without getting struck all the hell. Because just scenes from the trailer, and that's all I would need. Is just need some clips from the trailer, and you can give slight context without spoiling a damn thing, and see. Like I could show you there's one where you see in the trailer they're coming off of a boat. Now this wasn't in this in either of these episodes, but you see them coming off a boat, and in the trailer, and you can literally see that they're wearing T-shirts underneath this foam armor. You can tell it's foam because you see that what this is supposed to be metal armor, and you can see it crinkled on their shoulder, but you can see that they're wearing T-shirts under it because one of them you can spot the Hanes logo, and it's just it's just bad. This does not feel like they spent $1 billion. Okay, this is just, and I'm going to be doing this every week. That's the worst part. You're going to probably watch the first 2 episodes, and I hope you make it through it, old man, because after you make it through it, I want to go through, after you binge it, I want to go through and do a complete series overhaul review where I'll binge it all over again at the same time you're binging it, and we'll just do one stream where you can tell me, where you can put your thoughts on here of it. And we'll go over and compare and contrast, because maybe rewatching it I'll find the enjoyment. But I'm getting more laughs from the screw ups than I'm actually getting pleasure out of watching this. If this is supposed to be escapism, they screwed up. I mean, they screwed up bad. I mean, Galadriel is a dude. They seem to think that the only way that a woman can be strong nowadays in Hollywood is to make them into a man. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, they didn't have to do that to Sarah Connor, did they? No, they didn't have to do that to Ripley. No, they didn't have to do that to her. How about Ellie Statler from Jurassic Park, or whatever her last name is? They didn't have to do it to her. Just so many different characters. They didn't have to. You don't have to change them. You have to make them competent. But they can't competently write a woman anymore. I don't even think, if you're going by how they're going, they don't even know what a woman is anymore. I mean, we keep hearing this line of strong, independent woman. Really? If she's a strong, independent woman, why does she have no regency of character? She's the same cookie cutter character that you get over and over and over again. If you've seen one of them, you've seen them all. It's the same cookie cutter thing. But this is bad. This is written by CW people, it seems, because I'll put it this way, old man. This is like watching trailers of season 4 of The Flash. Okay? Or pick a CW show, and it's that. This is pain at times. But, like I said, there are some things that I was able to make it through and find some way to... Visuals are nice. Some of the visuals are really nice. Cause of Doom, I like the visuals there, but I even liked how they did some of the dwarves. But that doesn't make up for the rest of it, and at all. You can't have one small segment of it cover for the rest of it. I mean, was it like 2 hours of viewing for the season premiere because you watched the first 2 episodes, and I got 6 more of these. Now, it may get better. I am not going to discount it. I would like to be able to come back on here next week and say, you know, that was actually a good one, or hey, that was a great one. I don't want to come back and say, once again, what the hell did I watch? Because this isn't a good what the hell did I watch, like I brought up earlier with Wheel of Time. I still don't know what the hell I watched. I've watched that 3 times. But at least the action was fine. But that's it. If I'm going to go for lore's sake, they have absolutely decimated each of and every one of the original characters. the oh dear Lord, they couldn't have picked a worse Elrond. No offense to the actor, excuse me, that's portraying him, but the original actor, I'm trying to remember his name, that they had pulled up for playing um, Elrond. The one playing Elrond originally for it, actually, whenever you look at him, he looks like a younger version of Hugo Weaving. This guy is the same one that played young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. Okay, tell me he's going to turn into Hugo Weaving. um, at all. um, there, some, like I said, there's some things that, like I said, I like some of the visuals. You know, some of the locations. I'm not going to completely. I'm not going to crap on their visuals. They filmed in New Zealand. What do you expect? It's a beautiful land down there. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful hellscape because of how their government works. But this is going to be a long series. Even if it only had one more episode, I'd still feel like this is going to be a long series. If it has the same pacing as the first episode. Second episode was a little slow, but it picked up a little bit. Questionable on CG. I'm not talking about in this case, I'm not talking about CG as far as environment or things put in it. I'm talking about they're CGing things that shouldn't be in the first episode that you see in the trailer. Whenever you see when you saw in the trailer, you saw Galadriel jumping through the ice with the knife and everything, and you could tell they put CG. They enhanced certain things on her outfit for it. But I watched Vertical Limit the other day that they did basically the same effects without having the CG the outfit. Okay, and they were carrying much heavier stuff. Hell, I watched Cliffhanger, and that worked out better for the climbing than this. I truly wanted this show to be good. I don't really have much left to look forward to as far as shows come, because, like I said, we got unfortunately, about as well as a lot of people had expected. I avoided the spoilers, but it was first episode dull, boring. Oh dear God, the pacing's pretty bad in it. I was really bored with it, but the second episode picked up a bit, but it still wasn't much better on pacing. The performances are what really drags us down. The dialogue delivery is rough as hell, and some of the scenes are really weren't done that well. Choreography is bad, to say the least. The wire fighting scenes are really bad, but there's some, I'm trying to fight to go through and go over. There are some things, like I said, that I could find that I could possibly enjoy in it. But the bad is definitely outweighing the good. Yeah, that is exactly what is needed for this. That was for some reason my why the hell did my computer make that noise? Let's see. Do I have anything on here that says it? No, it does not. Oh, great. Sorry about that loud noise. Don't know. I'll figure out later what the hell that was. The show, I'm going to watch the entire series. I am not going to say I'd recommend it. I'm not going to say don't watch it, but I'm not going to recommend you watch it. That's everybody's personal taste. I hope some people do like this show. I'm not going to say I'm particularly one of them. but I hope somebody gets enjoyment out of this in some way. Um, there are some scenes of editing that the way that you can see that they cut them off does not make sense um, at all. I mean, they really, really they cut off. It's more noticeable in the second episode the way they cut the scenes. It's a really sharp jump whenever they do it instead of and it's not even that they're transitioning to another section of the story. It's within the same thing. It's just a jump cut within it that just is really off-putting, and for no reason. It's not like there was a fight going on at the time. There is a love story in it, sort of, that you just don't care about. Honestly, as much crap as The Hobbit got, I think it's owed an apology for this. I mean, at least The Hobbit, I could find things to really enjoy in it. I had no interest in the love triangle thing that was just forced in there because that was just bad. But there were other things that were still good within it. This is nowhere near as painful as. I mean, The Hobbit's nowhere near as painful as this. The love triangle, you don't have to worry about that, but the way that it's written is just not quite. You don't care. You really just don't care in it. I'm struggling to find a character I really care about in the show. I can tell you this much: at this point I absolutely despise Galadriel. Every time that she is not in a scene, the show improves dramatically. If that makes sense. My favorite character has been reduced to something I hate. Well, favorite character outside of Treebeard and Tom Bombadil. So she's my third favorite character. Tom Bombadil more for the mystery, and Treebeard just because how can anybody not like Treebeard? I mean, damn, it's Treebeard. But yeah, God Almighty, I thinking more on it, I literally hate Galadriel in this. What type of sick monsters decided to do that to probably one of the best and most one of the she was an impactful character, but they're putting her in places she never was, doing things she never did, in a story that never happened, because they took her entire basis and threw that out the window just to make her Galadriel warrior princess. I'm still waiting for her to grab a chakra and yell, "Ay, ay, ay, ay," as she flings it like a frisbee. No, I want to see her pull the Xena warrior princess thing. Could they at least put Morphic Clark in some of that tight leather? That'd improve the show a few points in the ratings. But no, she couldn't pull it off. Sorry, Lucy Lawless was flawless in that outfit. Okay, just saying. I know I'm old, but no, it just and like the people have been like other people. Guy Ladriel is exactly how you describe it. They turned Galadriel into a man, and not even a smart one, and not a good one. They have written this character in a way you hate it. Her attitude, her demeanor towards every single living thing around her is just either she is an insufferable bitch half the time, or she's a obsessive, whiny little turd that is complaining because she's getting told that she can't take a whole bunch of other people to die for her on a revenge quest that never happened. I mean, here's the thing, it is, She was a boss. They did not need to make her into a man. They did not need to change her. She was perfect the way she was. She was intimidating. She was able to captivate the area. She was able to. She had a commanding presence around her. She wasn't the warrior princess out there, but she was intimidating, inspiring, and she already was powerful and something to be feared and respected. This Galadriel in this show is just terrible the way they wrote her. It's painfully terrible. She has no forethought. They can't say this is a younger Galadriel. Yeah, okay. By what, a few thousand years? By the time period that this is put in, she's already thousands of years old. So she ain't a kid anymore. As a matter of fact, they took care of that at the beginning. They show her as a kid. Someone got. They were being a. If you're going to go on that front, may I remind you of where what's her name? Let's go for shit. Good Lord, how do I? Well, we can go for different queens. You had Queen Victoria. Might as well put that. That was a very intimidating and imposing woman. Besides the fact that she had people beheaded, she was a lot more impressive. And didn't have to go out on the battlefield to do it. Didn't have to strap on armor and go out and tell everybody how great she was every 10 seconds and how she was better, smarter, and greater than everyone around her. I don't see how that came into. Joan of Arc, here's one. She basically did come from the barefoot and in a dress and turned into what she did. She didn't. But she came from somewhere to become that. This, they're automatically making her into a dude. Okay, well, if you want to go when she tears down the foundations of Dumbledore, how about the fact that she had basically ended a good chunk of what was left of the Dark Ages in England? In many ways, she was more ruthless than Henry VIII could have ever dreamed of being, or even King George. She was probably the most influential queen of England that had ever existed. Sans maybe Queen Elizabeth II, and that's only because Queen Elizabeth II, instead of ruling by fear, because people did fear Queen Victoria, she ruled by public image, really. I'm sorry, kings and queens nowadays don't really have any real authority. They're basically figureheads, but Queen Victoria was amongst the last that actually had authority. I mean, basically, even the French wouldn't deal with her because they were scared after she made the statement that if you send one troop onto our land, we will keep running until we own Germany. She didn't just threaten one country at a time, she threatened all of them at a time. They showed her as a young girl, and being a young female character, you're talking. Sadly, couldn't show more. They showed her as a young girl, yes. And they don't have the. You're correct. They are running off the rights of the appendices. Now, what they do have the rights to do within even the appendices, you still get more development of the character of Galadriel than has been put into this. And quite frankly, at any point, if you're going to take a character and fundamentally change it so much, they didn't have the rights to Silmarillion or the rest of the Lord of the Rings or even The Hobbit or even the Unfinished Tales. They had all they had for them was the appendices. So, if you're going on, they first start out by making her bullied. Oh boy, they threw a rock at her boat. Never saw that in the appendices. This was not a. How about some of the characters they're missing? How about the fact that at the time period that she is supposed to be in, where's her daughter at? Where'd she go? They can't say that she doesn't exist, considering that was around the first age, the end of the first age, her daughter was born. Let's see, you got Galadriel gives the line, "You have not seen what I've seen," to Elrond, who basically witnessed and was at the Dagor Bragolleth. Of course, she, on the other hand, she was at the kinslaying, and she went a little different route after that. But that's a different way. They don't want to go into that on here. Do we know yet? Well, yes. Sadly, we do. Because she's specifically going around with one dead brother, no other brothers in existence. That is one. Two, she's specifically going around without Celeborn, who had been with her since the first age. Three, she's fighting in a war she never fought in. Shall we go on that? She's out there hunting, doing things that she never did. She's about to meet people that though they existed, was at the wrong time period. They've taken so many liberties. It's just, and even if you brush off all that, the way they have written her, this is not Morphin Clark's fault. This is the way they have written her, the way that they're having the actress actually use the roles, use the words, use the lines, speak the script. The way that they're having her speak them is just so poorly done that she's insufferable. I mean, somehow they magically made her worse than watching. Well, how about Rey Skywalker? How'd that go? We know time period is crunched. Yes, several thousand years. Story, several thousand years. Story is unfilmable. True, they are time crunching. Unfortunately, they're time crunching in kind of a screwed up way. It's sort of like crunching a slinky back up that's bent in certain parts. It's not lining back up. Besides missing characters and having her interact with characters that, like I said, some of them didn't even exist at the time. Although they existed in the book, they did not exist in the time period they're giving her, but they're keeping her in the same time period. And that's just within the episode that we have. Oh, Rey, that was a completely different, terrible thing. And what they did to John Boyega was crap. Okay, that was the character out of Disney that I was interested in. I was interested in what they were doing with John Boyega. They set up something good for him and they crapped all over him. Rian Johnson should be slapped for that. Not saying you can't develop Rey, but also develop him. It's like they forgot about him and turned him into the butt of a joke by the second one because he runs out in a suit full of fluid with hoses hanging out of it, spraying fluid everywhere. That was crap. But you can't. But if we're going on the time crunch and everything, you can't. Just in individual episodes, even if you take them into account by just how they are, there is plot holes within their episodes that they try to fill in their own episodes. Not saying for the overall story. No. Plot holes as in conversations that they're having from beginning to end in the first episode that they completely forget where they were going in it. How good would a Turncoat Stormtrooper storyline have been? I'm trying to remember the book. There's actually a few out there that Disney turned to Legends that were fucking awesome. I mean, hell, for God's sakes, Han Solo was an Imperial before he got to where he was. And of course, they kind of screwed it up in the Solo movie. He was actually even higher up in the Imperials. That's kind of why he knew how to veer left, the ultimate weakness of a Star Destroyer in the original in A New Hope was to slightly veer left. It can't hit you if you veer left slightly. For evasive maneuvers, go slightly left. But no, they wasted a lot of it. Obi-Wan, that show, that show aggravates the hell out of me. Okay. In some ways, it's something I wanted to see. I wanted to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back for something, but I don't think they should have ever encountered each other directly because that threw off continuity. They could have had them encounter each other in a different way, but never directly. But oh boy, was the writing in that bad. In the same episode where he can barely use a little communication, where he can barely move a little communication thing, he holds back hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of gallons of water in a hallway with the Force. But he could barely move the little communicator thing. And then at the same episode, we're escaping a Imperial facility with a small child under cloak. And considering all the people that are arrested from Disney, maybe they shouldn't allow actors and actresses to put kids under cloaks. It was cool seeing them interact, but God, was it bad. They ripped off too much as well. They ripped off Fallen Order with just going into the facility because that was done, what was it, like 4 or 5 years before Obi-Wan took place? Yeah. But everything is so... Yeah. Everything is so bad. The fight was cool. I'll give it that. But they ripped off Rebels, if I remember correctly. They had a thing on that. I never watched Rebels, but I had heard it, and I saw a clip of it. And yeah, they ripped off Rebels. And how did he go from, all right, I'm getting my ass handed to me, I'm in the ground with boulders on me, and the 7'2" asthmatic is too dumb to make sure that you're dead. He'll just leave boulders. It's fine. He won't escape. Nope. A few moments later, he pops up. Oh boy, I'm surprised by this. And he starts magically flinging the boulders with the Force, whatever he clearly was just absolutely overmatched beforehand. And how does he take him out? He punches him a few times with the saber hilt into light bright on his chest. Okay? They even refused to use the prequel music. Yeah. Good Lord. How much happier would people have been to have Duel of the Fates played one more time? Or God, what was the one that the altered version that was used for Revenge of the Sith? God, I wish I could tell you the name of each of them because I love the soundtracks to Star Wars movies, except for the Disney ones, because they Obi-Wan taking down Vader by disabling his. It would be if it wasn't for the fact that you see him in other things where you see that light bright get bashed all to hell and him struck with lightning, nothing's functioning and his helmet's basically gone, and he can still, Battle of Heroes, and he can still function enough to fight. And this is while he's still younger. This is many years, this is 20 years before he encounters Obi-Wan again on the Death Star. So, and here's one. He lives on a damn lava planet, and he's scared of a little fire. He just used the force to put it out the first time. It gets set again. Okay, he could walk around the fire. He could jump over the fire, or the fact that he lives on a lava planet, he could just walk through the fire because the suit's meant to fight off the heat. Well, his lungs were scorched. They always had that as a thing to make sense. And the way he got past his lungs being scorched was he was so pissed off he could continue breathing by using the dark side to fuel him a little bit longer. Had him at his fingertips because he left. Oh yeah, it was a completely defective suit. It was meant to be. I mean, it's you know how we make jokes about things being off of Wish.com? That's basically what the Emperor intentionally did. He wanted him to be as uncomfortable as possible. He gave him faulty cybernetics that made it so he couldn't raise his arms above his head. He gave him skin grafts that were substandard and constantly irritated and burned. Half the suit had to be, whenever it was attached, had to be stuck with needles into his body. That's to make it function. And the whole time that they're putting on that suit, you see at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, you have him screaming as they're working on them, attaching the limbs. Yeah, that's because he also had to do this with absolutely zero painkillers. So at any point he could have, the theory that the city that you had for the Emperor was, well, the pain and anger will make him stronger. No, more than likely he's going to go into shock and die. I also don't mind them using the Rebel shot. Well, Rebel the live action is big league, so they have to use stuff proven to work like that. Well, if you're going to go, it's sort of like one of their justifications afterwards is, oh, this is where he got his scar on his head. This is where Vader got the scar on his head, is this. Okay. We can go with that, but why didn't you upgrade your light bright since then? Even if the Emperor didn't want to upgrade things, he was a mechanic, he was a whiz with machinery. He could have built all sorts of things to add some extra protection to the light bright on his chest. Never came to mind. And if you go through the comics and the books, how many times he had that suit basically blasted off of him and charged out there buck naked, almost, without the respirator, that gets pretty funny. As he's slaughtering hordes and hordes of anybody that gets in his way that just happens to see his face, and oh boy, that's Anakin, kill it with fire. That's basically his response to anybody that recognizes who he is. The one thing that Disney can do right now that will make them $1 billion overnight, and by the end of a box office run, they'd have about $3 billion, is to go through and just do a strictly Darth Vader movie going down and hunting Jedi. Okay? If Disney wanted to make money, I don't care how much people hate Disney Star Wars. If that was what it was, they would toss it. That's as much fan fiction as Galadriel sword fighting a troll. Yeah, that's all Star Wars is, and all that this has done. My problem with how they've done Galadriel fighting isn't so much the fighting in the first episode. Do not take that as wrong. It is the fact that the way that they have portrayed it, the fighting on wires just is funny and terrible. Okay, it is terrible the way that they're moving. Oh God, the wire fighting, the choreography is terrible for it. I would have been more happier if they were going to have her fight the troll. A rated R Vader Jedi Purge movie, yeah. Even the most diehard I hate Star Wars fan would be creaming his trousers to get a chance to see that. Just because everybody, no matter whether they like Star Wars or not, likes Vader. Honestly, I wouldn't want to see more. I wouldn't want to see Kate Blanchett do that. Fighting naked against battalions of people. But call me a horrible person and a bad dog. But not going to say I would oppose to seeing Morphin Clark do the same. Okay, just saying here. She's still an attractive woman. Yeah. Yeah, that little bit of I'm going to snap everybody. Oh, look, a kid came out. Aww. Well, this is going to be a darker Vader, and then that turns out to be the most disappointing fight of them all. Seriously. That was what, episode 3? That was just disappointing, that fight that they had in. They could have had a more plausible way for him to escape that. It was just so pathetic how they did that one. We're escaping. Fire did it. Literally, you have guns. I know stormtroopers are not accurate, but you fling enough crap at a wall, eventually something will stick. But yeah, as far as the fighting naked, not going to be opposed to seeing Morphin Clark do that. Would not want to see Kate Blanchett do it. This is definitely Vader stomping. Vader had to beat him for that fight. He had to be defeated for it. They couldn't make it really work any way around that. But one, just like in this show, the fight choreography was rough as hell. 2, the way in which he ended made this told myself. I tried to look at it that way, but if you go by his absolute obsession with Obi-Wan, just the way they describe it in the series itself, that wouldn't have happened. He would not have just toyed with him, let him get away. He would have toyed with him, captured him, and then toyed with him further. He would have made him suffer. His entire motivation was to make him suffer for everything that happened. For the delimbing and setting on fire. And the fact that Obi-Wan couldn't, just not be a douche and let him roast for a while to be saved. He could have finished the job and just pushed him rest of the way in the lava. But dick move on Obi-Wan's part. But considering he's the one that let Luke and Leia get kind of close without warning him that that's his sister, was kind of a dick move too. You could say that, but if you're going to go on that, they don't count Clone Wars as canon, although they probably should with the way that they handled things. And I'm not talking about the newer. I'm not talking about the more CG one. I'm talking about the one done by the Samurai Jack people. That's my favorite one now. If you're going to watch a Clone Wars thing, it's hard as hell to find sometimes, but it's worth it. They wanted the Inquisitor story. They could have had Anakin trying to one up Obi-Wan. It's sort of like with Reva. Reva is another poorly written character. I'm not holding anything against Moses Ingram or anything like that. That's not her fault. The character is poorly created. And it's sort of like there is a big plot hole. Star Wars definitely can. They needed an opening scene to be a flashback era from the Clone Wars. That would have been nice, but they still haven't. Disney still has not said that was canon anymore because they want to have time to alter it. Yeah, I believe you're right on that. They're saving it for the Ahsoka show, but I really don't. After being burned by Boba Fett and stuff like that, I just I can't make myself watch um Disney Star Wars anymore. I was so disappointed by Obi-Wan that finished the job. It's like Andor. That was, yes, brutally wasted. The flashback tank on, yeah. Oh, Boba Fett used to be an absolutely awesome character because he was nothing. He was in a Christmas special. He was in the Star Wars Christmas special, just a one-off little thing in white armor, and they decided to use him. And he was one and done. Okay, he's, well, technically two and done because they had him in Empire Strikes Back, and then they had him in Return of the Jedi briefly. But basically, you didn't really get a whole bunch of backstory on him, and they gave him some backstory for when they did Attack of the Clones. You know, with him being a clone of Jango. But the biggest screw up they ever did, it's the same problem that they had, that they always have, is they take the helmet off. Boba and Obi-Wan were products of bygone era. Reigns full again. I don't like that, to be honest. And please hear me out on this. They created new characters. Okay, they create, for better or worse, no matter how you view the three Disney movies, they created characters that they could work with in some ways. Maybe not some, but they could make them work. Instead of going to the past like they've been doing and just trying to fill in gaps like with Ahsoka or Mando, they created a potential. Even though it is garbage what they have, they could make things work if they actually had a creative bone in their body. You know, that's the big thing here. You Here's one for you. The one thing Rian Johnson did do, now mind you, Rian Johnson, oh dear Lord, what he did to Star Wars was terrible, but I blame Abrams for it in total because he left no outline. And I blame Disney for it because they didn't say, all right, well, we'll wait a little bit of time, let you come back. So you could do all three. So there'd be some continuity to all three movies, because all Abrams had left was a Hail Mary with the Emperor. But Rian Johnson, at the end of that god-awful Last Jedi, you see a kid using the Force to grab a broom. You could take one of those characters and do something with it. You could take any number of ones. You really can't do anything with Rey because, well, Rey is just not liked because it's a poorly developed character. She's the best at the beginning, best in the middle, best at the end at everything she does. She has no real struggle. They tried to save the whole Mary Sue thing with Luke, but that's not true. I mean, dear God, the guy was cocky and screwed up more times than you can count. I mean, within the first 10 minutes, he gets knocked out by a Tusken Raider. There's get control. Because they're cast, not hired. They're not hired based on what they're capable of doing. They're cast for like a role. They're cast for it. I mean, you have people that go through this, and Bryce Dallas Howard probably could have made a better Jurassic Park 3 than her being. Jurassic World 3. I still haven't seen Jurassic World 3. That's not hard to believe. The best way to watch the Jurassic Park to Jurassic World series is from best to worst would have to be you start at the beginning with the original Jurassic Park all the way to the end. The first one's still the best one. I saw it in theaters when I was a kid. It was absolutely awesome. And it just went downhill from there, to be honest. But yeah, that's just the way to look at that one for me. She probably could have, considering I'm sure she learned plenty from Ron Howard. But Ron Howard even dropped out of, has screwed up a lot here lately in some of his movies. It's like he's taking too much input from focus groups. He's taking too much input from focus groups and the companies that are bringing him. I'll have to give F&F a movie when they nominated cartoons. Favreau and Filoni. A lot of people look at them as though they're the ones that are going to make this work, as though they're the ones that can save Star Wars. To be honest, they can't, because if you look at some of the things they've done, they've caused some of this. They've caused some of the downfall. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were both involved with working on the three Disney Star Wars. Watch the credits of them. They allowed this to happen. They enabled it. Yeah, they've made good things. Don't get me wrong. Mandalorian's good, but after what happened to Gina Carano, a lot of people lost interest because they saw basically a double standard. You can do you have guy that's playing that plays Mando. God, what's his name? The guy that Mountain kills in Game of Thrones. And now they completely overruled them. I would say that, but there were times whenever their own statements of what they were planning ahead, that even some projects that got canceled, they complained about. Some of them, the way they were describing how they were going to do them in interviews, just gave some red flags. Now, do I have faith that they could do something good? I'm pretty sure they could make something entertaining. I really am pretty sure they could make something entertaining. But you can't completely let them go without a leash. Well, they were not micromanaged in Mando because nobody expected much from it. But it took off. Then you had first season was all right. Second season was, of course, better. Third season, well, we basically seen 2 episodes of the third season because of Book of Boba Fett. You got 2 episodes of season 3 of Mando. Catch is, I think with Mando, they kind of backed themselves in a corner. And right now, if you look at it, Favreau is a little bit more focused on Mando, while Filoni's more focused on Ahsoka. And it's like with anything, you need a good foil. They were the only 2 good things from. Well, I take it back. It was kind of cool watching the Rancor go around destroy things at the end of Boba Fett, but that was about it. And boy, did they waste Cad Bane. That was disappointing. Now, I knew who he was not from watching Clone Wars or anything like that. I knew him from different books, and it was cool seeing him. But to be honest, the way he looked in the show, it's like he's the alien from Destroy All Humans. That's the way they modeled him, his face. It's like, oh God. Oh yes, the shiny Vespa scooters going through town in that high speed chase. That was just so terrible. I mean, the only time that you get you really got to see Boba Fett act like Boba Fett is whenever he's flying, when he gets back Slave One and goes hunt down the speeder gang that he thought had exterminated the Tusken Raiders. The biggest mistake that they made I understand in the first few episodes, all right, he was found by Tusken Raiders, kind of, sort of saved by them. Is no, they don't need any go CGI. He should never have taken off the helmet. But whenever he got his armor back, he should never have taken the helmet off. The big thing about Boba Fett was always it was a mystery with him. Even though you knew what he was going to look like after you saw Attack of the Clones, you didn't know what you were dealing with here. Oh, it's Cad Bane. Cad Bane. It's. I'm not complaining too much about the model on that. I'm just saying that's a similarity. They didn't want to have him fully CGI. I don't mind the Cad Bane look. Him being dunked on by undeserving Boba Fett. Yes. I mean, he got beaten by a neutered Boba Fett. And an elderly neutered Boba Fett. That there's nothing intimidating about him anymore. The moment they took off his helmet, they ruined him. And that's the way it is with a lot of things. They honestly, they should never. Now I remember Pedro Pascal. They shouldn't have let him take off the helmet in Boba Fett. I mean, not Boba Fett, but Mando. Except, now, if you want to give it at a few impactful moments, that's fine. But they should never let him leave it off. But the whole point in Boba Fett was there was always that mystery. He was a dangerous. I mean, this is the guy that stood up to a 7'2" asthmatic space wizard and had to be fussed at to not use disintegrators. I mean, you hope for the best, and that's what you get. But no, that was a character that ticked me off what they did to him. I mean, good Lord, half his time is in a Bacta tank. Yay. I mean, I understand the actor's getting older, but even the actor was complaining. And he also talked too much. That is some of the trailers of what's coming up to him. They're wanting to, some of the demands from Pedro Pascal, some of the shots that they've had, he is wanting to keep it off as much as possible. Now, I don't know if that's going to make it into final editing, but that was one of his things, because he's tired of wearing it. I understand. You don't want to wear it. You're a recognizable person. You want your face out there. I understand that, but you're playing a role. And quite frankly, it's like why I love Dredd, Carl Urban's version. At no point does Carl Urban ever take off the helmet. He leaves it on. Yeah, they had some production photos here a while back where they were showing for just kind of teasing things for Mando Season 3. And he's tired of the helmet, really, and I understand it, but you could still have him record the lines and somebody else wear the helmet, because half the time it's a stuntman in there. So, because of insurance purposes. Although he likes to do his own stunts. That's kind of the weird thing. His face coming off of Wonder Poop. I never saw Wonder Woman 84, to be honest. Didn't really have any interest. Yeah. But here's a show that I enjoyed it, and it sucked that Fox killed it after only a handful of episodes. It was Almost Human. It had Carl Urban in it, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other actor. But that was actually a good show. It had potential, and but as usual, Fox did what Fox does. Look what happened to many other series. Oh, it starts out good, and then we got to make way for their whole reasoning behind this was you had that Kevin Bacon show that was on there. I'm trying to remember the name of it at the time. That they're watching that more on DVR. So because it's having better DVR ratings, the Kevin Bacon show, we don't need this anymore because it's just not getting the ratings we're watching. That's because people were watching it live because it came out at a reasonable time that people could watch around dinner time after they got off work. I mean, come on. Uh, but yeah, God, what's the name of that Kevin Bacon show? But back to kind of what they did with this Rings of Power show. I, as much as I am crapping all over Star Wars, and I may crap all over this Rings of Power show, do I want this to be good? Yeah, I really do. I want something good to watch because I want Martin to have to eat crow. But apparently, they've successfully made a few good episodes of EVR. Bad idea for Rings to try to go ahead and go head to head personally with Thrones. Yeah, from what I heard, House of the Dragon has turned out pretty good, but I won't pay for anything doing one has a TV showing everyone watches, other a streaming service. It can't compete. Yeah, in some ways, but Amazon has a little bit of a cushion with it. This is the part that's kind of sickening. They don't have to worry about it as much. They most of their money doesn't come from their shows. That's why they can keep running out crap ones. They can make a few good ones and then some really crap ones. And they can just run season after season. It doesn't hurt them as much as, say, HBO Max. Especially with Zaslav coming in, he's not going to put up with it faltering too much. Because he's the guy that basically turned around Discovery to make it profitable. Because there for a while it was tanking. Even though it had good shows on it, it was tanking. But he turned it around and made it profitable. It's released early, specifically to beat Lord of the Rings to the market, but they're about to go head to head with Sunday Night Football. Yes and no. It's actually really good timing because they're going to pick up those people that don't watch football anymore. Yeah, football still gets a lot of people watching it, but most people don't watch it anymore for one reason or another. They've noticed that in ratings over the years. It has been steadily declining, not just because they're actually. Why does Amazon get killed? They do assign the checks. Amazon gave us The Boys and Invincible, which has, yes, season 1 of The Boys, yes. Season 2, not so much. Season 3, that was a good one. Invincible, I love Invincible. I want more of that. And hopefully that's coming soon. And that's even coming from somebody I don't even like. I really don't like Seth Rogen. But that show is good. There's a few other things they have on there. It's sort of like, this is something that I mentioned earlier that people are going to find weird. I've watched it 3 times now. I've watched Wheel of Time. Okay? I never read the books. Don't know anything about the books. Watched the show. Watched the season 3 times and still have no idea what the hell I watched. At all. It was an enjoyable ride at times, but still confused. Invincible, I got into that automatically. I mean, damn. That was absolutely awesome. And I don't even remember when they're saying that the next season comes out of that. The Boys, like I said, first season I loved. Second season, had some issues. Third season, made up for it. First season still my favorite, though. Let's see. But as we were talking about with money, Amazon has a safety net no matter what happens to their stuff. That's why I've avoided a lot of spoilers on the show. As a matter of fact, I've been trying to avoid any spoilers, even talking about Rings of Power in this. I've been trying to avoid it for those that still want to watch it, and I hope somebody finds plenty of enjoyment with the show. Yeah. I say it rates behind the Orville, Because damn, Seth MacFarlane hit it out of the park with that show. But yeah, it's up there. Voices. But Wheel of Time, I know nothing about it. I just watched it. Maybe you'll have the same reaction I have. Just go through and watch it. You'll, if you're like me, you'll be confused as hell the whole damn time, but you'll at least enjoy what you're watching, and go from there. The Orville, that's on Hulu and about to be on Disney Plus. Well, it's already on Disney Plus. I think I already moved it over there. I'd rather go in my backyard and watch some shit rings than watch another one of those. Well, I kind of get you, but but unfortunately, I have decided to stand before the firing squad, and I'm going to do one of these after every episode. But I do get you. If I had to have known how bad the first two episodes for Rings of Power were for me, if I had to have known that before I watched them, I never would have turned it on. To be honest, I couldn't punish myself like that. But I have this terrible compulsion. Once I start something, I have to finish it. And all I can do is hope it gets better. I have my doubts, but I do want it to get better. I don't want to just crap on this thing the whole damn time. The reason I didn't like the show mostly comes down to the way the characters delivered things. Okay, I know it's going to be a slow cook. I hope you're right. I really do. I hope it's a slow burn like a lot of other shows, but the damage that they've done so far is pretty damn bad. They're going to have to do a lot of work, but I don't see them ever fixing Galadriel. Like I said, I hate what they did to her. I hate that character. That character's written that bad. I'm just saying about not having. Oh well. Yeah, it only appears to get worse. As much as I could say that, and I could understand that completely, wanting it to fail, wanting it to burn. Quite frankly, we're running out of things. Too much stuff is already burned. We've already lost too much. Now, am I saying that I want this to succeed? Generally, no. I want Amazon to pay for this, but did I want something entertaining to watch? I wanted to give this show a fair shot. I did everything I could. I avoided any spoilers, any reviews, anything like that beforehand. I wanted something good to watch. And right now, we're running out of them. We lost Star Wars. We lost Star Trek. Doctor Who's dead. They're going after X-Files again. Battlestar Galacta's on the chopping block. I saw some news on that. We're running out of stuff. Hell, they're going after Alien again. They're making a new Alien movie and a new Alien TV series. Unfortunately, that's not how it's going to work. How you're going to win is you're going to have to pull an Eric July or many others. Instead of just focusing on trying to save these things, you just got to create new and better. That's basically what you got to do. It's sort of like we can sit back and laugh at their failures, but if we're not creating anything ourselves, then what's the point? All we're left with is what they destroyed. I mean, I'm not into comics, but I support Eric July. Um, we we have to we have to create something else ourselves, and we have to push it ourselves. We have to get away from the people that are. The battle is lost for the moment. That's not saying in the end we won't be able to recover some things. You know, it's a double-edged sword with them going through and destroying the properties. That exactly how they see it. And the best way to look at it is that, yeah, they're burning them to the ground. Star Wars gone. Star Trek gone. Because they ran off the people that were there. They ran off the fan bases. They were, except for a handful of holdouts. Am I hopeful for things? Yeah. But instead, I can watch them burn and realize that give it another 20 years, because God willing, I'll have it in me to live another 20 years. I could see somebody getting a hold of it because they ran the value of it down so badly. They destroyed it so terribly that they made it worthless. And somebody that actually gives a damn about it will be able to snatch it up. And maybe, just maybe, the person with some sort of creative talent and skill that actually has a more functioning imagination beyond their political ideologies and any other beliefs they have, that just cares about making a good story, will be able to grab it cheap and fix it. Maybe not fix it, but make new what was once destroyed. Basically, reforge it. Restore Tolkien to how he was. Restore the books to their full respectability, even after they've destroyed this, by saying, you know what, we bought this property cheap because it burned. And guess what? That's fine. We can get rid of that. And we can actually go through and actually make it worthwhile. Mm-hmm. Blank check with material they were allowed to work with. So that's the thing. You can't just say get a blank check to work with the material that you're given. You can't. This is literally creating something, but it isn't creating something else. It's perverting what was already there when it comes to whenever it comes to rings of power. I had to stop using, and pardon me for this, I had to stop using cock rings of power because of the fact that that's trademarked now. There's actually a parody porn, and it has a damn good trailer, by the way, that looks better than any trailer that this released. You don't. That's the thing. They're not just trying to say that. These people are trying to go through. If you look at anything the Tolkien Society has done, they've gone through and they've perverted his own words without changing a single word in the books. They're trying to change the way people think each word means. That's not, you don't adapt Tolkien, you word for word. You couldn't do it. That is true. But you don't let them pervert the word either. You can't, and adaptation means you also have to make sure that the messages he intended to be in there are preserved and displayed. Even though Jackson's Lord of the Rings was an adaptation, a lot of things changed. But at the same token, it respected the messages and themes that Tolkien wanted out there. That's the point. What's being perverted is going through and saying that his ideals are outdated. It's going through and saying that the messages he was conveying is outdated. He was making a mythology for England that basically had none. That's what he was doing. They had nothing. And lo and behold, a guy who had been making new languages whenever he was a kid went through and wrote this after experiencing the horrors of World War One, and basically he was using that. Writing was helping him to cope with dealing with his losses. He lost friends. He lost a lot during the war. I mean, for God's sakes, they had to pull him out of the war because he got trench fever. But his messages were timeless, and they don't like the messages that he sends. That there's honor and decency, perseverance, self-reflection, personal responsibility, and accountability. Work ethic. You don't just get it handed to you. You have to work your ass off for it. They don't like a lot of those messages, and you see that in the way they're writing the show. They're demanding respect without earning it. Think about it. At what point in this have they shown a reason? You want to go on that? In what way has Galadriel really earned where she's at? So far, we've seen her as an incompetent leader that is more than willing to disobey orders and run her people to death for her obsessions. Willing to watch them die just so she can get some sort of revenge. I mean, how'd she earn that confidence? How'd she earn the confidence of the people that are with her instead of just following her blindly? That's not a good leader. For God's sakes, most leaders would have been run up, would have been burned at the stake if they tried to do that to their soldiers. Well, it's a basic fear. Explain to me what made her a boss in the films. Was it because she was out there fighting, hunting down people? Did you see her character out there? Did you see her out there treating everybody else like crap to get where she was? Did you see her still treating people like crap? No. It's like they've decided that the feminine is just a toxic thing, whenever it's the very basis for life. I'm sorry. Nothing is more intimidating than a woman. Because, quite frankly, without a woman, you can't have life. They walked up and quivered at Galadriel in Fellowship of the Ring without any story. Actually, they gave story in Fellowship of the Ring. The whole time that they were walking in, Gimli was telling them about horror stories of what was inside of Lothlorien. He was talking about a horrible witch in there that could enchant you. He drummed up the fear amongst the hobbits, and in some ways it bled off into Boromir. Yeah, because he never really had any dealings with the elves other than at the council. So it drove that fear into him because he had paranoia because dwarves and elves didn't particularly get along. And what did we get? Poof. It gave the build-up. And then you see that she has a commanding presence when she gets there. Well, for one thing, the build-up on that is the fact that elves and dwarves did not like each other. Particularly dwarves hated elves. Which you could see from the very moment that you had the Council of Elrond. Him not getting along and not even liking the idea of Legolas or any elf having anything to do with the ring. Some side piece to Celeborn. Let's hit from left. Actually, if you're going to go on Celeborn, you really, there isn't too much that he wasn't around for, to be honest. He was around for things and did things. It was just nothing that they considered of note. Just saying. I mean, not to mention the rest of the Council of Elrond. It would have been really nice to see that in the movies, but we'll never get that. I mean, Lord knows I'd love to have that because yet that would take 6 movies, the length of, yes. And yes, Galadriel had a reputation, but not as a warrior, but as somebody that could enchant your mind. Somebody that could corrupt you, destroy you without ever touching you. Her mere glance drove fear into people just by her presence. She had a commanding presence, but at the same time, she had a nurturing presence. What part of this woman running out there, I must kill everything with my sword, that you're seeing in this series gives off either of those presences? There's nothing intimidating about this woman and how she is portrayed. She's portrayed as arrogant and incompetent, unlike here. You could say it's because she's younger, but the actions that she has taken in this already is in dire contrast to the original. A mythological reason, if that's the case, then why in the end did he ask for a simple thing after he got to know her? A simple gift of a single strand of hair, which she gave him 3. Well, yeah. Like I said, the Council of Elrond would be 6 movies long. Just saying. But no, but back to wanting to see this fail. In some ways, I want to see Amazon hurt for this. But it really isn't going to hurt them. The $1 billion they spent on the show, wasting it on this, it may hurt Amazon Studios a tiny bit. But lo and behold, the amount that they lose in that, they'll make up within a week in what they make off of shipping. So it really doesn't hurt them at all. It's a bruise to their ego and pride. But do I want good things? Yes. Does it infuriate me what they've done? Yes. Can I find entertainment in it? I have I would not call Galadriel a regular person. Even after he encountered, he still treated her much different. He still treated her with caution because she was a very commanding and intimidating presence. There was nothing, like I said, there's nothing commanding and intimidating about this person. She will not turn into Cate Blanchett. She will not turn into the because she has a completely different path. At the time period that they're saying that she's in, she was over with a different group trying to recover her basically sanity after she was involved with the kinslaying. Yeah, her involvement with that. You care about wokeness hurting the company marketing. All I see, Lord of the Rings. Yes, I want it to be good. Like I said, I can find things that are entertaining in this, but they're very limited. Am I going to say this is a good show? No, not really. Why? Acting, directing, and choreography. That, if we want to break it down, there is some seriously bad, terribly bad dialogue in this. Yeah, you have not seen what I've seen. I've seen enough. You have not seen what I've seen. Is that really a retort? Hmm? Is that really a good retort? Especially to a guy that's seen a lot of crap. A lot more than she ever did in the books. Not saying she didn't see a lot, but he saw a lot more. The guy is shell shocked, basically, at one point. And if she was so hell bent on hunting down. Here's another problem. If she was so hell bent on hunting down Sauron, whenever the War of the Ring happened, where the hell was she in that final battle? They are completely screwing with canon on that one. And people say, well, canon is something that restricts people too much. No, it gives a basis. It gives a foundation for all things to be built upon. What the hell happened? Yes. Every line that Tolkien put in was absolutely deliberate. As a matter of fact, I listened to a couple chapters, at least tonight. I've started that habit because I have a hard time sleeping, and I enjoy listening to the radio broadcast of Lord of the Rings. So yeah, every word he put was absolutely deliberate. Every meaning he put in was absolutely deliberate, never to be changed. It was set in stone. I understand that any arguments about adaptations will not match. That's true. Of course, he was the same person who hated adaptations. He did not want adaptations made of his work. He did not mind people taking concepts from his work to make their own things in their own way. I mean, face it. Basically, all of D&D is based around it. So my question to you is, how are they going to recover this? You set her up in a certain way. And they're having to stay within continuity even though they are trapped by the confines of playing within playing within the appendices. How do you fix what they've done to her? Okay. And where? When? You see, she was so obsessed with getting Sauron. Why would she be separated? That's the way they're putting her. Unfortunately, I got a bad feeling about where this show's going. Opposed to some magic force keeping orcs out of Lorien and using her star killer force powers to destroy the foundations of. You do realize there's one other little tidbit about her that we're. Excuse me. Now, it's episode. Now, whenever we're going over this, I have to question. They're saying episode 2 fixes the whole change of that. Okay. Now we're going on logic. This was also a very logical person. How well did she think she was going to do swimming through hundreds of miles of ocean? Just leaping over the side of a boat and swimming through hundreds of miles of ocean. No water, no food, and knowing that there are large creatures out there more than willing to eat her. There's some. Wasn't exactly smart. You could say she's impulsive, but any other character, if they were that impulsive, would have died. Unless they had some sort of well, how do we put plot shield, plot armor that makes them ungodly, which they do. She has built in the way they've made this because they can't kill her in any way. But at the same time, that doesn't mean they have to use. That doesn't mean it has to make sense in writing. It's sort of like whenever, all right, she gets drugged underwater. She's knocked out. She's drugged underwater. As soon as she is cut free and she's immediately conscious on the surface, swims back over to the raft that should have floated away in a storm, but was magically sitting still. Sending the Ring of Power into Mordor with 9 people smart. Yes. Actually, it made perfect sense. They knew that they would have to go through places to deal with different people. They were hoping to get them together. That they knew in the end, only one person would be it, because there's only one ring bearer. None of the others could do the task. They also knew that they would have to face different foes and different skills. So the beast was being hunted by the... He's been pissed off. But it's just shouldn't... It's not shouldn't. Okay. Now let's get to... since we're focusing way too heavily on poor Galadriel. Yes, I don't like this version, but we're focusing. What a whole story about it. Well, to give Tolkien some nice credit on this, you do realize that there was actually stuff that was supposed to come after the unfinished tales for after Lord of the Rings. The story wasn't even completed. As far as that, he wanted to go further. Unfortunately, croaked. So, of course, he's going to go over things again. He actually revised this book a few times. It's amazing. If you look at it, the amount that he did for English. But, yeah, what the hell happened to that? I'm sorry, give me just a second, my screen blipped. Well, yeah, everybody wants the fourth age. And, you know, honestly, the Tolkien estate offered them the potential to do the fourth age. Not his son, not Christopher, but Christopher's son offered to let them do the fourth age, so they'd have more material they could work with that would actually make more sense without being the ability to really screw up much. The fourth age would have had the actual end of Morgoth, and with only, as you put it, 19 pages in, they had a wealth of land that they could use. They had an ungodly amount of things that they could have run with and never screwed up, never screwed with any of the original characters. Of course, we can also blame Eowyn for the... Now, this is theatrical version. Jackson's movie. We can blame Eowyn for making a Dunedain die younger than any other one, thanks to the soup that she fed Aragorn in Two Towers. Nice tell. The elves leaving is changing over the world. Well, you could... some could look at it that way, but not really. If you go into the outline of what he wanted to do with it, it was supposed to be the end of everything, basically, because it was supposed to be... Because Morgoth technically was not going to be just completely gone until the end of everything. He was supposed to return at the end of everything. And it was supposed to be a build-up for him. I mean, it was a number of years after, of course, Aragorn and the others died. You know, I forget how many years they were looking at. But there's a lot of playground they could have used. Instead, of taking that, which they were offered at a lower price, they decided we have to have the appendices so we can play with these characters everybody knows all so well. Good choice. See how that plays out for you. Because so far, I'm not impressed, and a lot of others apparently aren't. Please let it turn out better than it is. A slow burn turns out great. Go for it. Please, please, for the love of God, do that. But yeah, if you're going on Fringe Movie Fans, yeah, there was a lot of inaccuracies in Peter Jackson's. No problem with that because they stayed true. But to the concepts, there was, but the death of Aragorn, I squarely place on Eowyn because of the soup. You know, I hope I am. I hope I'm just one of the few that just did not enjoy this. And I'm happy for those that have enjoyed this. As I've said multiple times earlier, I want people to enjoy this. I really do. I want people to be happy watching this, enjoying this. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean that I don't want them to be happy. I really do want them to enjoy it. There's a lot of things out there that just aren't that I've watched that I didn't enjoy, but others enjoy. And who am I to say who shouldn't be happy about it? I mean, that's a kind of a dick move, wouldn't you say? Enjoy what you enjoy, and the more that enjoy something, the better. Great. But there are going to be some of us that didn't enjoy it. Does that mean we should go out and bash those that do enjoy it? Hell no. But neither should those that enjoy it go out and bash those that don't. Everybody has their own reasons for not liking something. Mine is a lot of it's pacing. Like I said, it was like it was the pacing was worse than Dunkirk. The choreography, the fights in it, terrible. For the first episode, the whole thing with the ice troll. I mean, like I brought up earlier, they draw back the bow and you see the arrow on the outside of the hand. Just enjoy it. That's the thing. I didn't make up my mind to either hate or love it, one way or the other. I wanted to give this a fair shot. That's why I avoided anybody talking about it. I avoided basically the comments of people. Oh yes. I'm not complaining about you. I'm just saying there are others out there that will attack. Yeah, I did go over a video a while back. I was going over, and it was specifically why we should fight for it. Is because they were already putting out articles attacking the fans who were commenting on the first few trailers and said this doesn't look right. They weren't even saying that, this is going to be terrible from the start. They were some of them were just saying, is this it? This really doesn't feel like it. The tone just isn't there. Most of them were saying they were hoping it was going to get better. I'm enjoying this, really, going back and forth, because this is the first real stream I've had any interaction with anyone. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I want to find a wide range of people that both enjoy this or don't enjoy this. That's what this is for. That's what the internet's for. Say what you want. Lord knows this is all free. I got 9 subscribers because I never get any alerts of anything else. 9. I'll have to check the thing later because I got to update things. But like I said, that's what I did this for. That's the whole purpose of me going through and doing a live stream after each episode, and I hope you join along with it, because I'm actually I'm thoroughly enjoying the going back and forth each week. I'm going to do this for don't ask me to do the one for don't ask me to go back through on House of the Dragon. I haven't watched that yet, and I probably won't. You got real lucky you had 2 fantasy football drafts and my showings were delayed. Well, I do appreciate that you showed up. Basically, I'm no one. And trust me, the big dogs are out there, and I'm sure that you could be watching Nerd of the Rings. I think was streaming, and probably still are. They did a live view in 3 years when you're. If I'm famous in 3 years, it's going to be more infamous because I did something stupid and and died a spectacularly awesome way that even made the coroner question what the hell happened. Okay, I am I am incompetent as hell. I just want to make as I just want to know. I just want to meet as many people as I can, have more conversations and stuff. I've never really run a review. I've tried to do a video review of another thing, but that got of a few things, but each time got damn well copyright struck. And, some of them were even flattering reviews. Let's see. Oh, of all the things with Battle of Winterfell, although that strategically is stupid as hell, I could forgive everything if I could see what the fuck was going on. Sorry, stream. I couldn't see shit. It's so dark. What the hell was wrong with these people? Oh, you talk about how much hard work and effort you put into it. It doesn't matter if you can't see it. Season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones were god awful. 6 was saved by Battle of the Bastards. Basically, there hasn't really been a good season of Game of Thrones, a really good season since season 4, and that's because season 4 literally is the end of the last book that Martin finished. That fat Keebler elf doesn't get another dime from me. Besides, I don't have HBO Max right now, so I wouldn't be watching House of the Dragon unless I wanted to sail the high seas, and I don't feel like doing that. Although there's some stuff on HBO Max I do want to see. Like I said, I've heard some good things about House of the Dragon, but to be honest, it's a series based on a book that a book series that hasn't even finished, that is delaying another book that I've been waiting for what, almost 12 years now. That damn Keebler elf, who has been so focused on everything is delayed. The guy makes everything. He's never going to finish his books. Everybody knows that. I watched it recently before, and listened to OLED for the first time and had literally 0 issues with vision. I couldn't see dick until Sandra Proof. Yeah. What was it? Oh, and don't forget, right after that, Daenerys cashes in some respawn tokens to magically bring back the Dothraki that you just watched every one of them charged to death and never return. Unsullied, slaughtered. Yeah, what were they thinking? You know, I understand they wanted to have it dark and they wanted to make it oppressive. They wanted to make people feel like they were in the environment. But whenever you're having to turn off every light in your house, cover every window, and crack in the door just to make sure not one bit of light comes through. Ugh. He has creative block. He's a hack. If he finishes Song of Ice and Fire, he got a second chance for learning all. You know, the thing is, he's still got 3 books in that. You get The Winds of Winter coming, then you got A Dream of Spring, and I'm trying to remember the other one. You know, let the Dothraki charge into the dark. Say he's yeah. No, what would have been better And it's something that I got to think about after I watched it. It would have made me, I would have been in tears laughing at it. They charge in there. You hear the screams. Next thing you know, you see the charge of the Dothraki back. They've been turned by the Night King into, and they're charging back on their horses. Jamie Don Davis, man, all these people there and don't know a thing about how to. No, no, you figure that the writers would think ahead, but you got to think what they were flying by wire. They really had nothing. Dumb and Dumber just basically said, "Here, have fun. We're going to get this. We're going to get a Star Wars. We're going to get a set of Star Wars movies we signed a contract for. So even though we were offered by HBO another couple seasons, we're just going to abandon it. Put a fire trench in front of infantry shield wall, and just kill anyone who." It was worse than that. There was other mistakes that they made in that. Strategically, a lot of it's sort of like if you go back and look at Battle of the Bastards. Although that's a great episode, it's fun to watch. Strategically, it's stupid. Oh dear Lord, that was just one stupid episode. Strategically, yeah, but then they would say, "Oh well, you got the lizard, you got the zombie lizard flying over to take care of the problem," and it would have. But they already lost the battle the moment that the moment it started, because instead of knowing the battlefield, they went blind. They set up a battlefield they couldn't even remember how it worked, because how many of them fell into their own traps? I mean, and you sure as hell never, ever, ever use cavalry in a frontal charge. It's always flanking charges. Yeah. And then, mind you, writing in that was so terrible. They set it up seasons beforehand. Basically, they were setting up. It was supposed to be a big battle between the Night King and Jon Snow. They were setting up the battle for it, and they cockblocked him and said, "Nope, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to have songs. I mean, we're going to have what's her name do it. Uh, just completely screwed up that storyline because they didn't care anymore. I think some cared, but the writers didn't. They were just said, you know what, we're getting out of this. They provided relief. So actually, that was still a flanking charge if you look at it. Most of their forces were focused directly onto the city. So it was still for the most part a flanking charge, because they only diverted some of the attention over towards Theoden and the rest of them in Pelennor Fields. That's why the charge from the other side was so effective as well. That's not saying their forces don't turn, but they still kept the brunt of their forces focused on the front, particularly their heavy forces. Then you had their cavalry, which was the elephants. Everything went to hell after that. But Well, actually, yes and no. I understand what you're saying on making them worthless in a siege situation. Um, if you can protect them enough with their size, they would have been able to tear down walls. That was the point. It was basically a tank with a whole bunch of guns on it, being the archers. But it did have where you saw the rings on the saddle, which you could on the harnesses, which you could have used for attaching to walls. But they were good for infantry kill. Jackson did do some things that made more strategic sense visually. I'll give him that. If you get a chance, though, I still love going back and listening to the recording of Tolkien reading the Battle of Pelennor Fields. That was, and by God, that had some of the best music in the entire series. I mean, dear God, that was some of the best. It's like I said, it's going differently. I hope. I know you enjoyed the show, and I hope I come to enjoy it. I hope that it's able to be. I'm hoping they make, like you said, it a slow burn, and I start to like it because we got 5 seasons to work on it, so it might as well be a slow burn. Either that, or I'm going to have no offense to this. Yeah. We got at least 5 seasons that they paid for, so slow burn's fine. I do want to make this good, and even if it isn't, I will still be here every week. That it's going right at least half hour to an hour after each episode. Depending on circumstance, I was a little later than I wanted to be because for some God knows reason, whenever when the time hit, episode 2 showed up, but episode 1 wasn't showing up. And of course, I'm not going to watch episode 2 first, so I had to sit there and keep refreshing and refreshing. A lot of people were having that problem for the premiere. So, kind of a screw up on their end. But I will be here every week, and if nothing else, I'll at least have fun talking to people about it. So, I mean, or anything else. I mean, I do stream other things occasionally. Well, on here, I'll occasionally just make random streams talking about different things in the news, different entertainment stuff. Because, all right, this is going to sound bad. I can't edit for shit. I don't know how. I'm old and I don't know how to do it. Okay, I really don't. Hell, I'm sitting here with a $10 microphone. I'm sitting here with a $10 headset. That's why my audio is crap for most people. That I got from Five Below on an 11-year-old computer. Well, 12-year-old computer, almost. It's 11, almost 12-year-old computer. So, I do the best I can, what I got. But I talk about random things. Different news pops up, different shows. Quantum Leap, if you want to go over that one at some point. I'm going to watch the new Quantum Leap series, although I'm going to give it a fair shot. Well, I thank you very much. And, I hope you make me look silly again. But I'm going to watch that Quantum Leap. I do appreciate the sub, man. I I'm going to watch that Quantum Leap show. If y'all want me to do an episode of that on here, I'll do that. It's going to be Quantum Leap was my favorite TV show growing up, the original one, with Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. And by God, I'm going to give this the best shot I can. Another thing that I'm looking at is I'm just not for anything. And please don't ever ask me to ever try to once again give a review of the live action Netflix Cowboy Bebop. Well, that's okay. Live action Cowboy Bebop. And I'm not doing that again. Let's put it this way. As much as I don't like the first two episodes of Rings of Power, they're Citizen fucking Kane compared to that live action Cowboy Bebop. They are cinematic. These are individual cinematic masterpieces compared to that entire travesty. I don't have enough hate for that. I finally found something I hate more than that I hated more than Ghostbusters 2016, which was just an unfunny mess. Kind of weird. Sure. Oh, thank God! Don't ever watch that. I recommend you don't. Thank God there won't be a second season. Just if you got Netflix, just pass by that immediately. Don't even let the trailer pop up. If you enjoyed Cowboy Bebop at all, don't watch that. Ugh. It's really the scene that was supposed to be the funniest from the Ghostbusters 2016 is where where they're with the proton pack. She's testing it out, and she's smacking around into things in the alleyway. But by the time that came out, they had already burned that joke out by her doing that stupid credit card commercial where she was hitting different things like to save the whale, so she went off of the raft and into the side of a boat and stuff like that. It's just any chance of humor in that movie was flogged to death. The only one that made it out lucky was probably Harold Ramis, because the only part of him that was in it was a bust, because he escaped it. Sucks how he escaped it, but he escaped it. He must have heard that they were going to try to contract him for it and said, I'm out. Yeah. Let's see. What is putting? Run around into trees and oh God! Please don't taint even this show with that 2016 nightmare. If you're going to do it, at least have the voice of the troll, the snow troll, have it be Ozzy from there. Because I'd have to ask if I was still on something if I saw somebody run up and get flung while on a sword. And you could see the wires. That's the worst part. You could see the wires. Sometimes you can even see T-shirts. Sometimes you can. Oh, here's one. Take a good look at God, what's his name? The elf that Cordova plays, which I really don't have a problem with as far as the character itself. He's a fine character. I just don't care about him. He's a fine character, you know. If you look, whenever they show shots with him having arrows on the back, you'll notice that they're aluminum shafts and plastic notches. Mind you, these are supposed to be the up close shots. Shame they don't have. Actually, I'm kind of glad that they don't, because you get that Swedish company that I can't remember the name of it, so I just started calling it Meatball Company 1, and then you have Meatball Company 2 that got the rights to it, and some of the stuff they're coming. There is a anime Rohirrim movie that's coming, and my God, that looks awesome. The styles, it'll be super. Sure, it's not looking. Trying to think. We honestly shouldn't see it unless they're going to do that much of a time jump. Because look at the time frame Minas Tirith was built. It was long after Numenor was gone. It was long after Numenor sunk. That Minas Tirith really got built up. Yeah, it's a that Rohan anime is. I have it in a stream I did the other day that I saw a few images. It looks good. Was it War of the Rohirrim or something like that? I believe. It really looked good. The drawings they did, and they got the concept artist from the Peter Jackson films is the one doing a lot of it for this. That's why it has the Peter Jackson style. And I forget the name of the voice actor, but damn. Just what little we've got looks good. What was the other thing I saw? Yeah, there was a few games, and besides the mobile game, which I don't care about, I really don't. That I don't do mobile games. It's just not for me. I am looking forward to. I heard a little bit of news. I got to look up more on it. The Lord of the Rings card game that you had, the digital card game that you could play on console and on PC. It was actually really, really damn good. I played it with a friend of mine. The problem was content was kind of, it just never came out fast enough. The content was good. It was just never came out. Wish the ads for. Yeah. So, like, I wonder whatever happened to that Gollum game. I mean, I know it's still being made, but I don't know what the. I have heard very little information on it. It's supposed to be a stealth game, so. Which I don't mind stealth games. It's just like a little bit more information on it. Of course, I'm still waiting for for somebody to make a true Revenge of the Sith game where you get to go and slaughter younglings. You know, actually make Darth Vader. Make it a Darth Vader game, and you start out his real fall where it starts out in the temple with the younglings standing before him. What are we going to do, Master Skywalker? And that's where it starts. Just make him the most evil bastard imaginable. Make it why he was feared. Have that as the start. But well, I give a pinky for open world Lord of the Rings. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. They got development back. The developmental. You know, I enjoy the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games. I really do. Another thing I enjoy is I really do enjoy Lord of the Rings Online. It's been a long time since I really got into it, but that was actually really good, and it deserves more love than it gets, and it still releases new content. So it's kind of hard. Open world has become kind of a double-edged sword with these games, with a lot of games and series. Some things really deserve it. Other games, it's to its detriment. Then you have the game that I'm desperately waiting for more news on. I don't know if anybody else is. Fable, for God's sakes. There hasn't been news in a couple of years. Actual decent news on it. It's being made by the Forza people. So, visually it's going to be good because it's supposed to be an open world game. I mean, come on, people. I think there's a few other things to look into. Well, yeah, my throat's wearing out. I want. Actually, you have that. What's the name of it? It's on Steam. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But there's one on Steam that can that works like the Rome Total War, and it's set within Middle Earth. Crap! I am completely blanking. That was. No, I haven't. I've seen too much. Like I said, there was a Total War game that was based on. I think it was based on the Third Age, but it would be neat to have the Silmarillion. I mean, I like those types of games. I really do, but they're getting. My poor computer can't run it. They're getting more and more horsepower behind them, and my computer is not. The fact I can stream is a miracle. Or record videos, but I can't edit. Well, I could edit if I knew how. So, I'm kind of crap. At least I admit it. I do try to get better. I have been forcibly teaching myself how to edit. And occasionally I'll get something that has a decent edit, but it's difficult for me. Oh, okay. Well, you do have the mods for it. Okay. But no, I mean, there was literally a Total War, a Middle Earth Total War type game that was out there. I remember it because I still have the advertisement somewhere. It was advertised around the time of Return of the King's release. And I still have to get my revenge on that movie. Let's put it this way. I made a stupid mistake when I went to see the premiere of that. I had been waiting in line forever. It's in Texas at the time. It was hot. Drank a couple of the large Cokes. Okay. And about 10 minutes before what you'd figure would be the end, it was when the Eagles were coming to pick up when the Eagles were coming to pick up Sam and Frodo after the eruption of Mount Doom, okay, my bladder started to kick in after holding it for that long. Battlefront wasn't too bad. So Battlefront style could be okay. Oh, it isn't? Yeah, well, that sucks. But anyways, so if you're watching in theater and you, by about the fourth ending that you're being presented with, not that you're not enjoying what you're seeing, your eyes are completely floating, you're in tears, and by the time it finally hits the credits and you can leave, you damn near cut the porcelain in half whenever you, because you just blasted out a gallon of Coke that you didn't realize was built up in you, because you know you didn't drink that much. That was a hell of a premiere, but I still had to get revenge for all those endings, because, hey, this looks like it's going to be an ending. No. This ending? No. This ending? No. Come on. No. I'm glad they had all the different ways they did it. This is going to be a little controversial. I kind of like the way that Peter Jackson killed off Saruman versus how Tolkien killed him off. Sweep the Oscars in just for what's going to be going to high school. I thought it was really. Well, that's not surprising. A lot of people did. They didn't get it. Quite a few people didn't get into it till later. Where was I going? I just blanked out. I guess I am tired. It's probably 2 o'clock in the morning. Fellowship the Ring. Well, yeah. But yeah, with the death of Saruman, I kind of like the way that you had Wormtongue kill him on top of the tower, instead of originally where after the events of everything he ended up doing the attack on the Shire, and then he got stabbed and killed. I think this ending kind of was more fitting. That, and you got to hear some funny things from Christopher Lee. So, Sean Bean gets shot in the heart. No. Well, I'll say this. It's the one thing Sean Bean is absolutely known for. He is the best at dying. Period. I mean, he dies in basically everything. Goldeneye dies. Lord of the Rings dies. Game of Thrones. Killed in the first season. Just so many things he's died in. The Scouring of the Shire is one of the most unnecessary storylines. Yeah. I understood what it was there. It was a revenge thing. And I understand that he kind of backed himself in a corner because of how he let him get away initially. And then the Scouring of the Shire happened. So his way made sense, but I just like the way that yeah, that's right. He did survive National Treasure. Oh, but dang. I forgot all about he survived that. But, yeah, I understand where Tolkien's perspective was on it, and I understand Jackson's. Jackson's, I guess because it was more fitting for the time, he's defeated, he's defiant up there, and in his panic, knowing the horrible things are about to happen, Wormtongue, in his cowardice, stabs him in the back. So, yeah. I kind of understand that. I understand both ways. It just felt more satisfying to see him get stabbed on the tower and fall off. and all the memes that came from that. The troll as he's falling and flipping and singing it before he lands on the spike. Well, anyways, my throat's basically toast. But I really do thank you for coming by to watch, and anybody who watched. I tried to give somewhat of a review without spoiling anything. I hope I at least succeeded in that to an extent, as I didn't want to screw anything up for anybody that was still going to watch it or wanted to watch it or was just going to binge it later and just wanted to stop by to say hello. And I enjoyed talking about everything else that we went through. I really did. And I'll be back doing this again next week. I may have another stream during the week. Before then, I'm not sure. No. Actually, Tom Bombadil is one of the characters that makes the most sense. Give a review. Well, we sort of gave a review. I mentioned some of my things I dislike about it. Like I said, there are some things I did like about it. Don't get me wrong. I like the dwarves. Khazad-dûm looked cool. Yeah, I enjoyed seeing Khazad-dûm in its heyday. But, we'll get there. I'll get better at this one of these days. I'm pretty crap at stuff anyways. But anyways, I do thank everybody for watching. My throat is basically dead. So please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and I'll hopefully see you in the next stream, which will be guaranteed after the episode 3.